All right, welcome back. I've recently had a conversation with someone about what happens if we suddenly stop performing magic, if we just up and quit. And the answer is really going to depend on several factors. The first of which is, how long have you been practicing magic? Because if you've just gotten into magic and then you stop, then it's probably not going to affect you all that much. You haven't been performing it long enough to really see a difference. Conversely, if you've been practicing for quite a while, many years, then suddenly halting your practice could influence you quite a bit. But why would someone want to just up and quit practicing magic? Well, the reasons can be just as varied. So for the dabbler, he was just dabbling, so he wasn't serious about it, and so it's quite easy to quit. For someone who's been practicing longer, well, perhaps they've used magic to get everything that they want and need, and so they feel they don't need to practice it anymore. Because let's face it, magic can be a lot of work. And if your life's going really, really well, and you have everything that you want, you may not want to spend the time and effort that it takes to continue practicing. Or perhaps it's not by choice. Maybe you've fallen ill and you just can't perform it anymore, at least for the time being. I know that when I had recently fallen ill, the last thing I wanted to do was perform magic. And there was a lot that I couldn't do. I had to stick with very simple, basic things. So what happens when we suddenly halt our practice, assuming that we've been performing magic for quite a bit of time? Will we lose everything that we've gained with our magic? Well, it's going to depend upon the type of magic that you've been doing in your practice. So, for example, if you've just been doing one-off spells, such as a money spell here, a love spell to attract a partner, etc., those things are going to stop coming in, unless those spells are ongoing, such as the pot of dirt in the Secrets of Wealth program. That's going to continue to work and generate money for you, even if you quit performing magic. However, its power will diminish over time if you don't feed it. So if you quit magic altogether, including feeding your little pot of dirt, then yes, eventually that too will stop working for you. But it will last longer than just one-off spells. You get out what you put in, and if you suddenly stop putting anything in, then eventually you're not going to get anything out of it either. Now, how much things go back to quote-unquote normal, meaning life as it was before you started performing magic, is going to depend just on how much work you've done with your subconscious and your thought forms. Because if you have thought forms or subconscious beliefs where nothing goes right for you or things go wrong quite often, and you stop performing magic to negate those effects, then they are going to come back often with a vengeance. But if you have done work to develop new thought forms and reprogram your subconscious beliefs to a much better and much more deserving state, then if you stop performing magic, things may not get all that chaotic. So, for example, if you had a subconscious belief that you didn't deserve to be wealthy, or a thought form that one thing always happens after another, unforeseen expenses that always take money out of your account, and you don't do anything about those, then that is probably what you're going to default back into if and when you stop your magical practice. When you change your subconscious beliefs or thought forms, they're changed for good. You've basically reprogrammed yourself. But if you don't, you're still going to be stuck with your original programming. Magic may have glossed over it and negated the effects of it, but then if you stop the magic, then those negative thought forms or subconscious programming is going to come back into play and can really make a mess of things. So it really depends upon the work that you've done. If you've done one-off spells or sigils, you may not lose what you have, but you won't have any more manifesting for you either. Now, if you have perpetual magic that continues on its own for a while, then taking some time off won't affect it very much. But if you take off too long and you don't replenish that magic, such as in the case of the Secrets of Wealth dirt pot, then it could very well fizzle out. And if you have any negative thought forms or subconscious beliefs that you were using magic to get around, and then you suddenly quit doing magic, well, then you're not going to get around them any longer. So as to what happens when one up and quits their magical practice is going to be just as varied as those practices are themselves. The Secrets of Wealth is the program that's essentially going to give you your own magical printing press for cash. There's a reason that it's my top-selling program with the most testimonials, because it's helped countless people turn their financial situations around. To put it quite simply, it works. It's going to go over the most important factor that determines the wealth of someone. Correcting habits that keep you from prosperity. The first thing that you should invest in when you're low on cash. How the state of your home will affect your income. How to use a checkbook ledger to increase your wealth. Something that the banks have been doing forever. How to increase your income with a pot of dirt. And how to get cash quickly using some eggs. A whole host of money magic is within the Secrets of Wealth. Don't just take my word for it. Go to the page and check out the testimonials. You can get the Secrets of Wealth and other Mind and Magic programs over at mindandmagic.com today. So I know that when it comes to myself personally, if I haven't been able to do my regular practice for a while, such as in the case of my recent illness, then the first thing I'm going to want to do when I can get back to it is the LBRP, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and the Banishing Ritual of the Hexagram. The Banishing Ritual of the Hexagram is going to protect you from planetary influences that may otherwise have a serious impact on you. If you suddenly stop doing magic and this was a part of your practice, then you are going to be subject to those planetary influences again. And those alone can cause a great deal of havoc in your life. And the same goes for the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. It is said that when you do the LBRP, that you light up the astral realm, something that I can attest to having performed this in my sleep. In the astral, it's very loud, very bright. Things are going to know that you're there, which is fine because the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram also helps protect you against lower astral entities that may suddenly take an interest in you. But if you suddenly stop practicing magic, then you no longer have that protection, and yet the astral is still lit up. You've been developing personal power and collecting energy, and then lit yourself up with the big sign that says, "Feed on me," because that's what these things will do. Not to freak you out or anything, but they're not going to pass up a free meal if you set one out for them. It would be very subtle at first. They're not going to suddenly devour you like a school of piranha. It'll be a bit more gradual than that. But if you're away from your practice for a substantial amount of time, you most likely will start to feel drained, because that's what's happening. So it's never really recommended to stop performing the LBRP once you've began performing it. A lot of practitioners shrug off the LBRP as not being all that because it's one of the first things that you learn. But it is one of those magic rituals that's going to have an impact if you've been performing it for a length of time and then suddenly quit. And that's why the LBRP and the Banishing Ritual of the Hexagram are the two practices that I will get back to as soon as possible if I've had to be away from my practice for any length of time for any reason. And I don't consider being too busy as a legitimate reason to up and quit your practice. A lot of people are busy, you just make time for it. Because in that situation, it becomes a case of priorities. And so magic should be a higher priority. You're going to have to put something else on the back burner. Because to me, putting magic off completely just isn't worth it. I may not have time to do full operations all the time, but I will find the time to do the parts of my practice that matter most. We have to make time for what's important. Okay, so I hope you found this informative and perhaps even helping you to decide to stick with it. I wouldn't recommend quitting your practice. There's no real upside in doing so. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Follow me at all the usual places, Twitter, Facebook, and check out my site, mindandmagic.com. There's still a free program over there for those who haven't picked it up yet. This is Frater Xavier, and I'll see you next time. Take care.